Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome back to another on-the-road video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com. Today, we will take a look at this Amana freestanding gas range. We will show you how to remove and replace your Broil Ignitor. To begin your repair, we must first access the back of the unit. Stop. Before beginning any repair, always be sure to disconnect the power to the appliance. It is also recommended to test the outlet for the proper voltage. Remember to also turn off the gas. The tools needed for this repair is a number 2 Phillips screwdriver and a 5/16 nut driver. Now that we are at the back of the unit, we must first remove this bottom back panel. There are multiple number 2 Phillips screws around the perimeter that must be taken off. I do recommend saving the ones at the top for last. This will prevent it from sliding. Make sure you hold on to the panel when removing your last screw. At this point, slide out from the bottom, pull down, and set aside. Now that we have the bottom panel removed, we have clear access to our Broil Ignitor. Now, the way these work is they work off of a spark. So, since it only has one wire coming to it, one thing that you'll want to check is to see if there's any burn marks around it. If your back panel has been pushed in and it caused it to touch this metal, it will not spark on the burner tube. It will rather spark between the metal of the back panel and this electrode. So, to remove, you'll have to pinch on the terminal. It does have a small kind of locking pin behind it. It's a little difficult to get to. It's right kind of in the center. You have to kind of push in and pull off. Now, we will go to the front of the unit. Now that we have returned to the front of the unit, we must take out our racking, slide out and lift up. Do the same to the other and set it aside. Now at this point you can do the repair, but we will remove the door for easier access. To do so, grab the locking tabs and pull them back. When you do this, when you start to close the door will rest on the locking tabs, allowing you to push forward and pull out on the hinges. So push forward, pull out, and set your door aside. Now with our racks and door removed, we have clear access to our burner tube. Now to change out the igniter, the burner tube will have to be removed. So to begin, we have one screw in the back. This is almost like a ground strap, but also holds in the back of the burner tube. It is a number 2 Phillips. We will remove this. And next, we have one screw under the center top that will have to be removed. Also a Phillips screw. Once you remove this, we will slide up on the burner tube to remove it from the orifice in the back. Then gently slide out of the back, remove your igniter and broil tube, and set it aside. Now that the burner tube is removed, we can visually inspect the igniter. Now the igniter probe, we'll call it, inside, you want to make sure that it doesn't have any singeing. Sometimes what I've noticed is that the metal inside has actually melted back and it's not close enough to the little spike that comes off of the igniter housing to cause it to spark. So you do want to do a good visual inspection on that. Also, when you start the oven, you can look inside and do a visual inspection and see where it's sparking at. If you hear it sparking, but you do not see it sparking here, it's a good idea to check the back to make sure that the terminal is not shorting out on the back of the casing. If any metal is near the back terminal, it will spark there instead of where it needs to. Now to replace your igniter, there are two 5/16 screws that are on it. Simply remove these. Pull it off. You can see the electrode now. You can visibly see it through the holes, but now you can really see how close it is to the metal spike, as well as do another good visual inspection to make sure it's not bent back or melted or anything like that. And set your igniter aside. When installing your new igniter, hold it on and hold both sides of the mounting bracket. Insert your first screw. You have to turn it to line up the other side and reinstall the second screw. Now we can reinstall our burner tube. To reinstall your burner tube and igniter, first we will start to slide the igniter in the provided space and slide in the back portion onto the orifice. You'll notice that it lines up with this divot in the burner shield. We will put the holding screw on the top front of the burner tube. Just kind of sit it in there. Give it a little twist so it holds, and tighten with your screwdriver. We won't tighten all the way, so that we have a little bit of room to wiggle in the back. Grab your other screw. We will have to push up on your ground holding strap and reinstall the screw. Now, it is very important, if this does not have a ground holding strap, to install a ground from one of the screws of the igniter. You can go through the back or install to a provided hole on the cabinet. Tighten your center screw. Now we can reinstall the racks and door. When reinstalling your door, put the hinges in and get them in there so they rest, and bend your door back. A good rule of thumb is if the door bends down all the way. So if you do have to adjust it, just make sure your tabs are back in place, move it around. Door is down perfectly. We will slide the tabs back down, give it a close to make sure it's seating okay. Now we can reinstall our racks. Slide your racks back in, put them in at a tilt, and push them back. Now we can return to the back of the unit. Now that your igniter and assembly is properly installed, reinstall your terminal. Now we can reinstall the bottom cover. When reinstalling your bottom panel, make sure that your top lips go over the top of the top portion. Slide it into place. Reinstall your first screw. Hold on to the panel. Reinstall your second top screw. Reinstall the others around the perimeter. And this will complete your repair. Thank you for watching another quality video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com.